everyone, it's Kristi. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to work on some grungy flowers. So this is the type of thing that I'm looking at. I have this box in my ephemera that I have taken scraps basically, and I usually do this with cardstock. I have all the way down ½ inch because I can turn these into reinforcements if I like. I have the 1 inch. I can use them on a side of a page or as I call it crazy 8 closure or decorative, you know, lots of options all the way up to, I think these are 3 inch. Yeah, 3 inch. I've got some 2 inch scallops, so we'll get to this in a minute. I went and did some yesterday. I don't know why I say that. Why do we say I went and did? That doesn't even make sense. I made these yesterday, and so they're nice and dry, and so I've got to be very careful. Now, these holes were apparent, circles, were apparently punched from papers that were with my old printer. Well, I shouldn't say old, previous printer that was not thermal. So the ink kind of ran a little bit, not too much. This one's really dried tight. I need to use my pokey tool. That's the technical term for an awl. There we go. Yeah, now I have just taken 3 or 4 pieces, and we'll make some together here, but I just wanted to show you what it looked like when they're finished. I just kind of pull them apart, and I did learn a few things as I was making these. There you go. So grungy flowers, this is what they look like after you've dried them. So basically we spray them, we stack them, we punch a hole. Now I will advise you, you can start the hole before you wet them, or I mean you can poke the hole before or after, it doesn't matter. However, I had better luck punching the hole before for this very reason. It tore really a lot when I did it wet. So this was one that I wet first and then punched a hole through it, and you can see it tore the paper. And this is a very sharp awl. I have cut myself on it numerous times, but something happens to the cardstock when it's wet, and it almost became kind of stretchy. I don't know how to explain it. It's like I tried to push through, and then the tip was just covered, and it was very fibrous. And anyway, so this piece has come off. So probably I would probably add a button or something. Let's see. I found these buttons the other day on my bathroom counter. Probably came with a shirt or something, and I would just glue a button in there and make it work. In fact, let's just glue one in. I would use Fabri-Tac for this. If it's not covered in glue, get that off. I would just put that in there. Now, let it settle for a second, and then I'll just stick that on top and let that dry. Okay, so we've got, there was one more that kind of did that. I'm not sure which one, and you can see that these, you could still use this. What I might do is put an eyelet in there to keep it from tearing further, and you could use it as just a single. You could use a single, a double. This one's 3, this one's 3, that one's 2 now. I thought I did, maybe it's this bigger one that I did as a 4 layers, but the papers can all be the same, or they can be different. This one's more, what would you say, shabby chic. This is, I believe this is one of the pages from my Cozy Rosy collection. So say there's an envelope or something that I've not used, or sometimes there's ephemera in collections that you don't use, and sometimes there's stuff that you just don't, well, let's be honest, you don't care for it. And so use it for something else. There we go. All right. There we go. Now you could put buttons in any of these if you wanted, but you can leave it as three-dimensional as you like. Now, if this is wet and you put the ink on it, the ink will kind of bleed. And I wish I had done that. You can see how the ink bled on these. This is the large 3-inch circle right here. I don't know how this one turned out. I may not like it. But just take your time opening these because they're very fragile. You can see how there's hardly any ink left on there. I'm hoping this one didn't pull through. And even if you open it all the way out, you can always scrunch it back up if you want to. You just got to find where that layer is. This is probably 2 pieces stuck together. There we go. You can put the brad end dead center. You could put it off center, which is going to give you a completely different look for your flower. And this is something that would be great. The unwrapping after they're dry would be great for sitting in front of the TV if you've done a bunch of them. So let's pull. Yeah, there's another little piece in there. This one was 4. I wasn't sure how this one would turn out. But I'll tell you what, I'm looking at these and I think I want to do some more with the scallops. I only have one scallop punch. That's the 2-inch size. They do shrink a bit. So if you want a 2-inch rose, you're not going to be starting with a 2-inch because it's going to shrink. Let's see, what did this shrink down to? Oh, not too bad. It's just like maybe just under 1 7/8. So there we go. So you can see, yeah, that's not bad. I wish I had something for in between. I need a 2.5 is what I need. But I could cut out the circle too. But yeah, so those are the ones I did yesterday. And we could fix this one. I have these little pieces of, what do you call that? Sequins? Oh, they're very sticky. Very, not sticky. Staticky. You know what? It's blue. Let's use gold. I found some green and red ones. I think they were from a craft ornament or something I did last year. I don't remember. But I was like, oh yeah, I can use those on Christmas something, since we're going to be doing Christmas in July. So I'm going to poke this through that little piece. Maybe. These are so tiny that my fingers don't always function as they should. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that sequin. It's iridescent maybe. And I'll just stick that right inside there. You know what? I'm going to do something different. I'm going to take one of these and do a little poke in the middle. I'm not going to wet this one, but I'm going to kind of scrunch it up so it doesn't look so pristine next to that other one. And remember, these are supposed to be grungy, so probably if I was going to put these on a page, I would probably ink them. So I'm just going to stick that on there like that and put that brad down like that. It's not my favorite, but it's doable. You know what I mean? You can make it work. You don't have to totally throw it out. And we could have just put it back. We could have just put it back on there, you know, added the hole, stuck it back through, and whatever, added it back to that layer. But anyway, lots of different ways you can make them. So let's make them. We'll try another one of these. Now with this one I used a scallop. That's a 3-inch circle and a 2-inch scallop. Let's put something contrasting in there. I don't know how much of these are going to run. Let's do this book page. Oh no, I don't want that. I want this one because, nope, that's scallop too. I'm looking for one that's not scallop. Let's use that. Yeah. And then 1.5 inch, like that. All right, so that's going to give us this. And if you want it to be, you know, monochromatic, you could do all of them the same. Let's see if I have a 2-inch. Oh, I have all these circles. They're all on top of each other. That might work. I don't think I have another 1.5 inch that is that same. Oh, maybe I do. There we go. All right, we'll do that one, and let's pick one more. We've got that scallop, and we've got that, and we'll do that for the middle. I mean, there's no rules, okay? You just do whatever you like. So I will stack these. I'll show you both ways, and maybe you can see what I'm talking about. So let's put these aside. I'm going to move these aside. I kind of like this one the more I look at it. So I think these two, and then I was going to say this one's also cool. If we had done more layers, you can see how that would look. So lots of options if you want it thicker or flatter. These can lay down flatter if you want. So if you're going to put them in a journal and you're worried about the thickness, all you have to do is pull out some of these wrinkles. So I kind of like to have a little texture. That's the whole point of doing them, in my opinion. So all right, so let me get the glue. I forgot to put the lid on it. Hope that doesn't come back to haunt me. I have a bottle of water, and I'm going to spray both sides of these individually. Flip it over. I suppose you could dip it in a bowl of water if you want, but I just happen to have the spray bottle on my desk. Now that they're slightly damp, I'll stack them. I think I want the solid one on the bottom and the scallop in the middle, and then this one on top. Doesn't have to be perfectly lined up, just do the best. And I'm just going to poke it through. This is double layer of towel, so now that poked through a little better than last time. So I do want to make sure that the hole is big enough, so I'm going through about 1/2 inch with my awl, because I think that's all no pun intended, that I need for this. These are kind of pinkish beige color. These are my close to my heart. I have the whole embellishment, a whole ton of embellishments from Close to My Heart, and I thought, you know, I need to use these. They've been sitting here for 10 years. So there we go. All right, now all we do, and if we need more water we will, so I'll take it and pull this layer up and scrunch. Okay, a little bit more. Pull this layer up and scrunch. I leave somewhat of a flat bottom on mine because when I pull those out, you know, no more than, you don't need more than like 1/2 inch, but I want it to have a flat bottom. So where that brad is, I use that kind of as a guideline for the flat part, and then I just scrunch that just like so. And you saw at the beginning, this is how I left them until the next day. So let's do another one. This one we'll go ahead and just do it dry. poke it through, and I'll just keep these open right here. Hopefully they won't go flying. This is our monochromatic one. Got that brad in there. Now see, I can't do anything with this, so I've got to soak it. And I think I'm going to have to get a new spray bottle. This is dripping. So give it a second. And there again, you can see how it's dry underneath. That's why I like to give them a little bit. I think it works best giving them a little bit of water to begin with. So now I'm going to do that second layer. And the circle that you see is not another layer, it's where it was dry underneath. So this one has the scallop. And I just kind of bring them up and just start pinching. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Alright. And just keep scrunching until it's the scrunchiness that you like. If you don't want it that scrunchy, don't scrunch it up that tight. You know, it's all about your preference. And there, of course, that one's off a little bit, but that's okay. I don't mind if it's a little bit offset. Flowers are perfectly imperfect, in my opinion. Alright. So let's do these, and this one's a 4-pack. So I don't know why this is leaking the way it is. It wasn't leaking until I went and refilled it, so I need to find I have another one that has a squeeze handle, and I think somebody might have repurposed it to use with the cat, you know, for when she jumps on the table and the counters and tries to catch things on the TV. We don't actually have to spray her anymore. It's so funny. You can pick up the bottle and she will squint. It's so funny. She's such a good kitty. We love her. All right. I think I'm going to look for a 2.5-inch punch somewhere, but I tell you where I'm not going to look for a punch, and that's Hobby Lobby. I have had such a horrible time with the Hobby Lobby punches. I don't understand. There we go. Well, let's see. Right there. I think that'll be good. And I just want to do this gently because maybe that's what the problem was before, but I feel like when it's wet, it's a little bit more resistant. I don't want to go through too much. Okay. I'm going to use this color again. But it starts to tear sometimes, so you do have to be careful. I think I'm going to put a... I've got these sequins too. Maybe I'll just use one of these. I haven't ever even used any of these sequins. I've had them forever, and I should start to use them. Oh, I took out 2 apparently. Alright, so get that through the sequin, and then maybe that'll help. It won't tear through that hole so much. You know, perhaps I'll put one on the back as well. How about that? Get on there. There we go. Just for a... It doesn't want to go through. What is the deal? Oh, looks like they're already coming apart. They're so short that they're difficult to manipulate. Now I'm putting this with the cup side down so that the curvature is the same. Come on. There we go. There we go. Now I can open it. I'm sorry if you can't see that. I apologize. Okay. There we go. Now we'll start to scrunch. And then we will end up with the one we had over there, the big one that I liked. But yes, I think you could also do this with all the same size, and I think that's what this was. This was 4 layers all the same, 1.5 inch. So I kind of like that one too. Maybe for a cover, maybe not for the inside, but you know, if you have enough space in your journal or whatever project you're working on, that would work fine. And it's a good way to use up scraps. We have so many of them. I probably should be doing this on Scrappy Saturday. And I'm just scrunching the ends also. Making a little squishy basket. All right, so there we go. This one will turn out like this. And hopefully I'm on screen. I thought my towel was on. Yeah, okay. I thought I had my towel set up on screen. And then these two will be similar to this or this. And then if you do them all the same size, they will be like this, more dimensional. But there again, pull it out more. If you want it flatter, it can be flatter. And then kind of fan out these like so. Great. And then you can still glue a bead or a button or anything you want in the middle. You could even use another flower in the middle. You could use, I wouldn't use that color, but you get the idea. All kinds of, no, I wouldn't use that. I'm just looking for size, not, I mean, I happen to have a button over here that's humongous. You know, if you wanted to do like 3 of the large 3-inch, skip those little ones and just use 3 of the 3-inch, you could easily put one of these large buttons in the middle. I don't know if you can see that. I don't even know where this came from. But this is a great button. It's like red glitter. Great for Christmas. What if I did like 3-inch circles in a green card? And I do cardstock. I don't do paper. Paper's, you could do paper, you just have to be super careful with it. I like the cardstock better. But yeah, do 3 or 4 of the 3-inch, and then when you pull it out, put that button in there. There's all kinds of options. So anyway, I hope you'll give it a go. Have a play, make some flowers. Who doesn't need flowers in their life? And we have Make Ahead Monday coming up, and then Wednesday. Can you believe it's already going to be July? Oh my gosh, I don't even understand it. How does time go so fast? We're closer to Christmas. I'm sorry, I don't mean to scare anyone. Sorry. It's just time flies, and the older I get, the faster it goes, and I just need it to slow down a little bit. So anyway, we will be back with Christmas in July on Wednesday. So I'm going to be sharing some of the things I'm doing for my Christmas boutique this year. I've got some things prepped and ready to go. So I'll see you then. Bye now. Thanks for watching.